Right, today we'll be talking about these. No, we won't. We'll be talking about the Wright Digitronic Caliper.
Okay, today we're taking a look at the Wright Digitronic Caliper. I think it's the DBL 110. You can see there on the side of the box. They do a 115. I think that's a longer version of the same caliper. So you got your sheath that it comes with, blue over there. Now Wright and Mitutoyo in the UK they're kind of like the industry standard, you know, like the best equipment when it comes to engineering and measurement in the UK engineering side of things in the industry. I still didn't replace the one that I had that I used for years before that broke. I did have it's a relatively good one actually, import one, a lot better than a lot of the other poorly built ones. I haven't got round to having a look at that yet. I probably will in the future, but so I kind of had one around for when I needed one at home. But when it comes to work, obviously, you know, you want a nice brand one, either a Mitutoyo or a Wright in this case. So they call their digital stuff Digitronic, Wright. Now Wright are owned by Spear and Jackson, and they make all the blades for like hacksaws and things like that. I was going to actually get a pack of my hacksaw blades, a little junior hacksaw blades, Spear and Jackson out for the video, but I've rushed to get on with this because it is getting very windy out here, and if it's going to get any worse, and it might end up knocking the camera all over the place, making it very difficult to video it. But Spear and Jackson is part of the Wright company, and I think they've also bought Bowers Group, which makes measuring equipment as well, Bowers, in the UK. So you can see some of the Wright stuff on Bowers Group on their pages. So you take the sheath off and you've actually got quite a nice plastic case, to be honest with you, here. Quite tough. So if you drop it off, knock it off the side of your lathe or something, you know, you've got that rubber mat on the top of the spindle. Some people like to leave things on there. Well, if you knock it off and you've got it in your case and all closed, it shouldn't be too bad in there. You see, it's all like formed and raised. It's not just complete one level kind of thing. So these don't lift up and flap. These clip in place. So you just give them a little pull forward and then lift the top up. And then you look inside. You've got our Wright certificate there. Yeah. So there we go. We herewith guarantee and certify that this product has been checked and found to be in accordance with the applicable national standard. The equipment used for this check has traceable accuracy according to national and international standards. So there you go. So you've got your Chief Inspector's certification there, Wright, Sheffield, England. That comes in there. You'll like to see that. So it says that the equipment used for the check has traceable accuracy according to the national and international standards. So as I've tested the instrument, and let me just put this under there so it doesn't blow away. just have a quick scan over the instructions. As you can see, it's the 1110 DBL series. You can see Digitronic there, and they do put value line, I think, on the shaft as well. So just your basic instructions really. It does say about cleaning. You know, it's clean with a soft cloth. Don't use any solvents, so no alcohols or anything like that. Do not immerse the Digitronic caliper in liquid, so that you know, don't douse it in WD-40 or anything like that if you want to clean it, which you will affect the roller and things like that, I suppose, inside the measuring equipment. And you can see the wind is picking up, like I said. We do want to get this done as quickly as we can. You just got basic specifications there. It does say the accuracy on the accuracy there. You can see. See that up close. And the resolution along there. So the resolution is 0.01 millimeters. You see again on the other side just your basic instructions about your battery. We'll get to that in a minute. I'll show you that the battery replacement. But, it says when you want to reset the caliper, you have to remove the battery, then wait 30 seconds before replacing the new battery and turning it back on. Or obviously putting the same battery back in again. So it talks about it's an important bit that you'll like off the back, the guarantee. We guarantee this instrument against any fault of design, manufacture or material for a period of 12 months from the date of purchase. Any repair work carried out under the guarantee conditions is free of charge, so they might repair the item and not actually replace it. Our responsibility is limited to the repair of the instrument, or if we consider it necessary, to its free replacement. So you know, they could just replace it, or they might just repair the current one. And there we go. So there's a little bit of declaration of conformity, traceability of the values, information there, and you've just got your examples of measurement for the caliper, which is as we're used to. So you've got your inside and outside, or the internal and outside, and you've got your depth on the end of the instrument, and your step measurement as well. So again, I'll just put this under here so it doesn't blow away. So we can lift this up a bit at a slight angle. Now, when you look in the actual case, the caliper does actually come in a plastic, call like a little plastic sealable baggie. It's a rather long baggie there, and it does have this kind of little cardboard thing in there to kind of protect the caliper from being knocked about in storage. Now I will say the unit does come with 2 batteries. There's one already in the unit, and there's one that comes on a little cardboard cutout tab. The battery that was in the unit was actually depleted when I got it, so it's the shelf life. That's something to remember. When you've got the battery in the actual unit, its shelf life sat there, it will deplete over time, so that's obviously been stored in a shop or something for a while and it depleted. But the one that was in there obviously I put that in and it's working, which is a little bit of a shame because I've only got that one battery. The one that's in there I'll just put back in there just to show you. It takes a CR 2032 3-volt battery, but the bigger ones, which is a little bit of a pain because most of the digital mics and verniers that you'd have in your box will be taking the small usual button cell ones, kind of like the laser pointer sized button cells that you get for your watches and things and your calculators and that as well. And then you'd see that you're gonna have to actually go and buy some of these as well, spare, because usually you'd have a strip on you of the usual button cell ones for spares, and probably one masking taped in your box, so for when your one runs out, so you don't have to bother too much with manual instruments like we used to have. So there is that. You do have to go and get yourself these bigger batteries, which is a bit of a pain, but it's not the end of the world. They stick one of them silica gel things in your pack. That's good because it helps keep the moisture away. It stops things, obviously digital items getting damaged by moisture, but it'll also help with metallic items, with rust as well. I'll sometimes put a few in my toolbox to try and help to stave off the moisture for the rust. There's a little tip for you. So we can get the box out. Just put that there. I just got a mic just so we can test, because I don't have any gauges on me at the minute to test with. But turn the item on, you do have to kind of hold it down. I've noticed with the buttons on here, you can't just lightly press them and they'll do what they want. Sometimes you do have to give them a firm push. So I'll just clean them, make sure the drawers are clean. There we go. It's 0. Don't really need to zero it, but you know, your 0 button is here. And I'll be honest that the feel of this is a lot better than some of the import Chinese models that you get. But I will be honest, my Chinese import vernier, I've tested them against each other, and the Chinese one is very accurate, and it's almost pretty much bang on identical when measuring the same items. So I've not really got a problem with my import one. Like I said, that was a very good one, import one example, and I probably will do a video on that before long, probably comparing it with this. So you have got absolute on there. As you can see, the ABS button there. You've got your usual top lock. I know a lot of people like to shore up the feel of it as well by tightening it up a little bit more to make it feel a little bit more stable, but you've got to be careful because it will score along the top of the track if you're not careful. So you know, I'd loosen it back. Just use your thumb on the wheel or the slider there. You can see. Bring it back and back. Still 0. Quick slide all the way back. Sometimes you might get a slight. It's all the way. Yep, and it's still on 0. So that's bang on. Sometimes you get a slight error, and you'll say 0.002 or 0.01 with a caliper, but that's bang on. You want to take a look at the actual unit up close. You can see it. The only Moore and Wright logo on this is the actual battery cover. So if you do lose that battery cover, and you have to put a little bit of duct tape or something over there to keep the battery in place, which people will, they're not going to throw I've seen it before, they're not going to throw a digital caliper that's perfectly alright away just for the sake of the battery cap being missing. And, you know, when they do come loose, you do have slight knocks and bumps. The only different thing then is that it just looks like a basic caliper, because there's no, although unless people know the Digitronic brand name, model name, you know, they're not really going to know it's a decent brand. It's not that it's a Moore and Wright, because that's the only label that you've got. turn it over and you've got the usual sticker. You got your metric ISO and Whitworth, and you got all that. You got your information there, what you're used to having on even the import calipers do have that. If we take a look at the see if we can kind of get some kind of a gauge of the actual edges. Like I say, don't tighten. I personally don't like to tighten it down a slight bit and have it more stable on a caliper, because like I say, you can scratch and scar the top end, and a lot of people like to do that. Even seasoned engineers do that, but you know, it's not for me, to be honest. The internal, if you have a look at the internal jaws, there we go. Have a look at the external. So I put my hand at the back because that helps the camera focus in. It's not focus. It focuses on the object and not what's behind it. We take a look at the back of the unit. See, they've got a little screw and laser. Actually, I have noticed that's very similar actually to the actual import caliper that I've been singing the praises of. The way that looks at the back, and there's an etched number on there. Don't know if you can see it, put the etched number just about, maybe just there. There's your depth end. Measure your depth on there. It's a slightly shorter tang cut into it. A lot of them, that tang comes down a little bit longer and then right angles off, but that one's quite short, but you know, it'll still do the job. If we can move it out and take a look at the actual slide. And that is actually very clean. You can see a lot of the import ones are very dirty and black. You can see it's a high quality instrument there, straight off the bat. You can see that there. So what I want to do is we're on millimeters at the metric at the minute, so if we switch it to imperial in inches, and I've just got a because I don't have no gauge blocks or anything at the moment here. What have we got here? I'm going to set this to probably set this mic to 1/4 of an inch. We'll see what we get. Well, 1/4 of an inch. This is being 0, but I don't know if we'll be able to. Might have to switch this around to be able to get it in there this way around. So can we take a look at that? So that's 1/4 of an inch, 0.249.5. It's supposed to be 0.250, but I think that's you know, it's a bit awkward. What if I've knocked it anyway? I think the mic, so just slightly. So can we do it like that? Let's try it again. There we go, 0.250, so he's relatively, and that is it's a Mr. Sawyer mic, so it's a decent mic, and it is see, there is can we see that? It is zeroed well, so obviously I haven't got no gauge blocks, but that's as best as we can take for the test for the accuracy against a mic. Obviously a mic is a lot more accurate than a caliper, so you know, it's better than testing it against another caliper, especially an import one. You know, for a higher quality brand like this, is, you know, if this one's better than an import caliper, then, you know, you wouldn't really be surprised. And if it's pretty much the same, then you'd probably think, oh well, why should I pay more money for the better one? Obviously the companies are going to take you more seriously with the better one, even though I would still use and bring the import one. Say like with machining, use it for roughing out, rough cuts, even though I think it's still as good enough accurately as this one is. You know, you can use that one as a bit of a beta, it's a rough cut, and then you've always got your decent branded one then for you know, it's always there, so you can be taken seriously in what you're doing and things like that. You've got a good decent brand to be trusted with. Like I say, you've got your ABS on there. Obviously digital calipers, a lot better than buying manual calipers, because you have to spend you know, for one in imperial and one in metric. This one is obviously 2 in 1 as a digital instrument, and you won't have to buy 2 calipers. I mean, back in the day that was a problem, because the manual readout calipers were still pretty expensive from the decent brands, Mitutoyo and Moore and Wright, maybe Starrett as well. Starrett was a little bit it was a good brand, but it was a little bit, in the UK it wasn't as trusted, because Moore and Wright and Mitutoyo were kind of, and still are, the industry standard here when it comes to engineering. I will say that I wasn't sure if this had an auto off or not, because there was no mention in the manual, but after leaving it myself for a while, it did actually automatically switch off. So it does have automatic switch off function as well, which they failed to mention there. They probably should have, but it does have auto switch off function on there. But you can always just switch it off yourself with a slightly firm press than you might do with other branded instruments. But you know, you just give it a little bit of a firm press, and you know, and that's that really. Now if we get to the battery cover, obviously this is the battery cover, and then you got the arrow telling you need to slide it off in that way. You've got to be careful with this, because sometimes a slight knock and it could fall off and you've lost it, and then you'll have to end up putting a bit of tape over, like I said before, and that is the only indicator that you've got a Moore and Wright. So if you start a job, that's what I bought this for. If you know what I mean, if you're going to go and start another job, you want the company to be taking you seriously, that you got you know, the industry standard tools and things like that, and you lose that, you know, and you've lost or you haven't brought your instruction manual with you, you've kept that at home because you don't particularly need it, you know how to use it, and you know, they might think you've got another import caliper, because they all pretty much look the same, apart from the ones with the Chinese writing all over them. The difference here is this one has actually got like a little rubber cap. It says front there, so that's obviously the way around that it goes. It's keyed, this little tab. You pull that back, pull it off, and there you get to your battery. And it does recommend that you tap it out, as opposed to prising it out. But with an instrument like this, I personally don't recommend tapping it, because you might actually damage the actual instrument by doing that. So I'd just get something like a precision screwdriver and just get it right down the side and gently put it up. But sometimes they can spring back if you press down at the back, and they can you know, kind of tilt up, and then you can get them out anyway. So if you kind of work your finger on there, sometimes you can get it to do that and then prise it out anyway. But the good thing about that cap is it actually looks like it's also there to keep it sealed as best it can, not brilliantly, but as best as it can, from things like some suds or some fluid for say like CNC or something like that. You know, for cutting the components. Some additive, you know, that stuff that used to have like with the Whitman Auto and single and multi spindles and things like that. You got the additive in there. It stops that, obviously, because you get it all on your hands and you're using your instrument, and it'll stop that splash getting through to the battery inside and damaging it. Most of them don't bother having that waterproof barrier there, so that's a good feature. I don't know, maybe a lot of other brands have got that, I don't know. There isn't, to me, any digital output ports. It looks like there was one moulded, but it was omitted from there. Whether they do another version with this same moulding and there is an import that's actually put there on that version or not, I'm unsure, but it looks like they did decide to put a port maybe on there, and they decided not to here on this model. Whether they decided to omit it from all the series, I'm not sure, but it looks like it was thought about and it's just been left blank. That's basically it. If you know, if you look at the roller, that's what the roller looks like. Yeah, that's basically your Moore & Wright 1110 DBL digital caliper. It's quite a nice unit for the price. The cost isn't that high that you would expect. Obviously, it's more than say the import. You know, it's probably 2 or 3 times as much as what the import calipers are going to cost you. But you know, it's a higher quality unit. It's a respected brand in the industry. It'd be perfect for you know, a serious apprentice. Although I would suggest an apprentice, especially one that's just at college, at the time being, they'll probably get away fine with a decent, and I mean decent, import caliper. But you know, this would be fine, because like I say, micrometer, you got micrometers anyway, and micrometers, depending on, you know, what you're machining, you're going to be a precision engineer. You're going to want it to be precision anyway, aren't you? So you know, micrometers are more reliable for absolute accuracy than a caliper. But to be honest with you, I think these are fine for the engineer. This model that they do other models, IP, I think they are, something or other. But this model is fine for the basic tool maker, engineer, you know, CNC operator, setter, etc. You know, quality control, Joe, average Joe. So because you've got your micrometers anyway for your, you know, for your real, you know, final cuts that have to be really bang on. You know, that's perfect for your basic caliper usage in the workshop and elsewhere in the industry. I don't really see you having to, if you've got your decent mics, like I said, and digital mics as well, obviously, which are out now. I don't really see why you would need to spend much more than you would than this one. You know, a decent mic. It's not a cheap mic, but you know, it's not the absolute most expensive one out there. It's not the absolute most expensive one that Moore & Wright do. But it's more than capable enough. You know, if you want to be a bit of a high-end apprentice, should we say, you know, perfect for you there as well. But I think, to be honest with you, apprentice would get away with a decent import caliper. But you know, this is perfect. It's not overly expensive. If you're getting into studying engineering, you want your parents to treat you to one for your birthday. I would say Christmas, but that's just gone. You know, for your birthday, or you know, just as a gift because they're pleased that you're bothering to study something or something like some of them are, you know, then it wouldn't make a bad purchase at all, and you could carry that on with this one. Obviously then you could carry that on into work and use it fine, whereas the you know, the import one, you'd probably, like I say, just keep it around for a beta or for rough cuts when machining and things like that. Whereas this one, you know, you can carry this through into your career. So that's the Moore & Wright Digitronic Caliper, otherwise maybe known as Value Line series, because they have got that on there. But the DBL 1110